and objective ideas. Non-objective is just lines, shapes, colors like that. It doesn't represent anything. So the middle one and the center one with circle and square are very non-objective, where there's no representation of a tree. There's no representation of Iron Man, or of people. The other ones are objective, where you have mannequins, you have a landscape, and you have Iron Man. So it says, sketch out 2 ideas for this project, and you choose which direction you want to go with it. Either one has a strong possibility of you getting an A in it. Before you start the project, I want to see drawings on here. So the non-objective idea, again, it's just literally lines, circles, squares, something like that. When you do non-objective stuff, it does have a tendency to look better if you have a focal point, where all your lines or shapes feel like they're going into one area. So when somebody looks at it, it has some organization that when I'm looking at it, all of a sudden my eyes go to where the circle is at, or where this triangle is at, or where this empty space is at. And it makes it very effective. It makes it look good. The other side says list objective ideas. So don't draw anything on this one. In terms of cartoon characters or game characters. So I threw down some pieces that were made out of oil pastels. Actually, there's one that's not up here because I'm going to do one of them. Anybody know which one's not oil pastel? Yes?
PJ Masks.
PJ Masks. And I read another chapter to my daughter last night. And it was hilarious because because at the beginning of the book, it talks about, well, it always does like the introduction like you do in the show. And so she was reading it to me, kind of thing, and she was putting the whole voices and everything.
Yeah.
So that's the only one that's not. So that's where I'm going to take the value drawing I was working with you guys when I was sketching them out, and I'm going to make that as oil pastel for her. So, but these other ones are all oil pastel based. So on the list, you could write down if one of your favorite cartoons were, Simba, kind of thing, and you could find any cartoon picture, as long as it has the gradients in there, and we could always add them in, but it goes from like a light orange to a dark orange, like a dark orange to a light orange to a yellow, like it has on their fur, and we can make it look amazing with oil pastel. Oil pastel is really nice, and AJ, this is where I need you to videotape. Sorry about that. But you got to go on? This is where when you find something, and I know Allison already grabbed hers because she went and started this last week, and she chose Moana's meeting, what's the name of that character? Tafiti. And that was like my favorite scene as well. That would be an amazing piece that she could find. Now when you search for stuff, don't type in oil pastel Moana, or oil pastel Simba, or oil pastel Mockery in Time. I think that's what the other one was. You just type in normal stuff. Even the video games that you play on your phone, like if you play like Clash of Clans or Castle Clash or anything like that, you can still turn that into this stuff. Understanding that the more stuff you have inside of it, the harder it will be to do. I used to have a painting up there by the clock that my son wanted, so I took it down. I haven't put one up. But I still have Dragon's Lair up there. That's oil pastel. It's a really old cartoon. I'm not sure if anybody remembers that. Or even an old PlayStation 1 game. Anybody know what that one's called? Crash Bandicoot. What's the name of the game, though? Nope. Name of the game.
It's called Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, I am disappointed in anybody that says their game. What?
It's called Crash Bandicoot.
Nope, it's not.
What's it
The
called?
character. What's the name of the game?
Crash Band.
It's called CTR, Crash Team Racing. I am disappointed. I am disappointed.
I didn't know that. It's not even a race game, is it?
So that's an oil pastel.
It's like an
That's an
adventure
oil
game.
pastel. And I have like 5 more I could probably show you. So when you search for something, you can type in who's Marvin Martian. You can even type that in, and you could find a picture that you can turn into an oil pastel. How to Train Your Dragon. I have one that's halfway done. That looks really good. With oil pastels, in my opinion, and you are not graded on this, but I do want you to explore, and we will explore in this. Your warm colors really look good next to your cool colors. So anything that's yellows, oranges, and reds look really good next to blues, greens, and purples. Okay. So what I could do right now is, like on that list that's on here that you have to generate, I didn't write down like you have to come up with 5 different ideas, but I would try to come up with a number of them to find a direction you want to go with this. Now this could play off of your own childhood, stuff that you either currently play or stuff you played in middle school that you still enjoy, or movies, that you cartoons that you really enjoyed kind of thing or whatever. Okay, I would recommend you go in that direction, but you don't have to. There are a lot of other really cool designs out there that you could turn into oil pastels. Like the Firefox symbol. What is that, Mozilla? I forgot what, I think it's called Firefox symbol. That has a really nice with the tail and the fox wrapped around the world. There's a lot of fun designs out there that would work really well with this one. There's one up here I don't feel does very well because they didn't push the colors out to make them bright. Which one do you think it is? Ariel. That one would look amazing if they just got the intensity of the colors. And I think they overblended it with their finger. A lot of times, and I will try to work with you on this, you don't blend with your finger, you blend with the oil pastels. You start blending your finger, you start getting that, you start seeing the white of the paper. You shouldn't see any of the white of the paper when you're actually doing your actual project. Okay, on the bottom, it says reflect on how non-objective artwork can still affect our emotions by comparing two different pieces together and writing about it. So we're going to do that one here. Let me pull the PowerPoint up. So, everybody needs to do this right now because you're not going to have as easy access to this later. So on the bottom left, reflect on how non-objective artwork can still be affected by our emotions by comparing two different ones. So we have these two very non-objective. One has a very strong focal point. Maya, which one do you think is the one with the very strong focal point?
The right one.
The right one. Because everything is kind of coming down towards that bottom right where that circle is at. You have lines, straight lines coming down. You have curved lines that are wrapping around that, and then your eyes go to that one. The one on the left almost has two focal points. It has those two competing circles that are being intertwined in kind of a counter kind of twirl and twist around it. So by looking at this, you might have two different emotions. Now, while I think most people will do the objective idea and making a character of some sort, I want to emphasize that this can also be very cool to play around with, especially if you don't want to do a cartoon character or you might be a little more I don't know, artsy, and you feel that doing something from Disney is not you, kind of thing, which is perfectly okay. This is a really cool way of really pushing your own talents. So come up with 3 sentences that describe. So I would try to describe the one on the left in terms of emotions that you might get when you look at it. Describe the one on the right, and then just come up with one more sentence time together. I'll give you about a minute or two to do this. Yes, very good. Sea animal?
Narwhal.
It is.
About 45 more seconds.
Never answered.
30 more seconds.